So in today's video, what I wanted to discuss is this tweet, as you can see on screen right now, which reads, EA is reportedly very disappointed with how Battlefield 2042 has performed and is looking at all of the options when it comes to the title. This is including looking at free-to-play in some capacity. I'll have more on this tomorrow. Now, of course, I didn't provide that update just one day after this tweet went live because I wanted to do a little bit more digging. I consulted some past and current developers on the situation. I consulted some industry analysts who have been involved in past EA financial calls who showed tremendous interest in the Battlefield franchise, and I also consulted a lawyer to see the legal implications that this could all have on EA and potentially DICE. So we're going to get into all of that in today's video, but ultimately what is the problem with Battlefield 2042 is essentially they just do not know what they are doing with this game, and I think that is pretty evident with the lack of communication that we've got on this game these past several months, and it's clear that they are just stuck between a rock and a hard place when it comes to providing updates to the community and also taking the direction of the game into a direction in which people will be happy with. And I think fundamentally the problem with Battlefield 2042 is that at its core it's going to take so much work, so much time and so much money to rectify all of the issues that ultimately it might mean that it's just not worth doing when it comes to improving the Battlefield 2042 situation. And that does lead us very nicely into the topic of today's video, and it's the fact that some people over at EA are reportedly looking into how they can make Battlefield 2042 free to play in some capacity. Now, I did see some reports following my tweets that this could mean the whole game could go free to play, and it doesn't seem like that is the case, simply because, well, it would be a PR nightmare when it comes to releasing a game for $60, $70 to $100 in some cases and then making the game free to play just after a few months. It does show that, well, they understand that this was a flop of the game, and it would seem like a last-ditch attempt to actually get players over into Battlefield 2042. Now, it doesn't seem like that is going to be the case, but from my understanding, they are potentially looking at making Portal free to play in some capacity. Now, because this information is very fluid and information is changing pretty much on a daily basis when it comes to this sort of information, my source wasn't able to get any more information on what exactly this means. I think it is essentially just too big for their pay grade when it comes to getting this information as up to date as possible. So instead, what I decided to do is I consulted a couple of industry analysts. Now, because they have been on past EA financial calls and it's incredibly likely that they'll be on the next one in February, I'm not going to mention them by name in today's video, but instead what I will do is I will consult with them after that financial call is concluded to see what they had to say about it in terms of what it does mean for the future of Battlefield when it comes to EA supporting the game and stuff like that. I'm assuming that a lot of that information is going to be pretty much very digestible and we're going to be able to understand it, but it's always a good idea to get professional opinions. You know, it's their job to report on these types of things to investors, so it'll be a very good idea to get their professional opinions on what exactly it means for Battlefield. Now, when I did start to consult these analysts, one of them did say something very interesting when it comes to this financial call in February, and it is the fact that they're just fully expecting EA to essentially beat around the bush when it comes to Battlefield and give the same replies they did with Battlefield 5, which is, yes, they are disappointed with the launch of the game, but they're very confident in their live service model. So that is what one of the analysts was saying. But when I consulted both of these analysts about the potential of Portal going free to play, they both agreed that this is the most likely option when it comes to Battlefield 2042. The major reason being when it comes to Battlefield 2042 is, well, it's because essentially this is EA's only option when it comes to getting a free to play component in the game. Of course, we do have Hazard Zone, which unfortunately has failed to captivate its audience, and after speaking to a DICE/EA developer these past couple of weeks, I can report that there is only a few hundred people playing Hazard Zone at any one given time, which just essentially proves that nobody is interested in that game mode. Of course, these analysts also said that Hazard Zone lacks the depth that it needs in order to convert people from free-to-play users to fully fledged purchases, which is something the likes of Call of Duty have done incredibly well with the likes of Warzone. So it seems the only alternative option here is to either develop a Battle Royale game mode to launch alongside Battlefield 2042, or to make an existing game mode free to play, and that of course is very likely to be Battlefield Portal. Now, we know that EA was planning a free-to-play component in some capacity. We can see that officially with their past EA earnings calls, but from the leaks, and of course you can take all of this with a grain of salt, from the leaks I was told that that game mode was meant to be Hazard Zone, but even EA internally didn't believe that Hazard Zone is the right game mode in being able to convert people from a free-to-play element to a fully fledged game, and I think that is incredibly clear with the data that I was provided a couple of weeks ago, that well, only a few hundred people are playing Hazard Zone at any one given time. And that data isn't just coming from people playing Battlefield 2042 on Steam. This comes from all of the consoles and all of the clients in which people are playing Battlefield 2042. Now, I do want to be overly cautious when I come to reporting data of player numbers because, well, this information is a couple of weeks old now, but I was told there was around 40 to 50,000 people playing Battlefield 2042 at any one given time, and that just indicates that only a few hundred people, probably 300 to 400 people playing Hazard Zone out of 40 to 50,000 is a very small amount of people, and essentially is less than 1%, which I'm sure has already proved to EA that making Hazard Zone free to play just isn't the right choice, and when it comes to Hazard Zone being free to play on launch, they made the right decision to include it in the fully fledged game, probably one of the only right decisions that EA have made with Battlefield 2042. So where does this leave us with Portal, and how exactly would they make Portal free to play? Now, this is something that I've been thinking about these past couple of days. Unfortunately, like I said early on in the video, it seems like my source just simply doesn't have that information at this particular moment in time, because it's either above their pay grade, or quite simply because this is such a fluid situation, they can't get that information at this moment in time, and hopefully a couple of weeks down the line I'll be able to provide that information in a future report. But essentially what they're thinking is, yes, we're going to make free-to-play Portal. When I did do the tweet, there was a lot of people within the community stating, well, I don't even think making the game free-to-play can fix it, and I completely agree with the community's concerns. And what I will say is that the developers behind the scenes are doing a phenomenal job in being able to try and patch this game up and put it in a playable state. I did mention this in my development video because I've seen the hard work that all of these people are putting into making this game playable, but unfortunately the communication side of Battlefield 2042 just still isn't coming through. We've had this problem since the reveal of the game, but I think that this is coming down to the fact that they just do not know what they're doing with Battlefield 2042. I think there's a lot of meetings going on with the marketing and EA executives and stuff like that in being able to decide what they should do with Battlefield 2042, and I think we're just not at that point at this particular moment in time in which they can say for definite in what they're going to do with this game. But it seems like with everything that I'm hearing behind the scenes, and also with these consults, with these analysts, that Portal is the most likely option that EA are going to take with Battlefield 2042. Now, because there was a lot of questions regarding the likes of refunds and stuff like that, after I did do that free-to-play tweet, I wanted to consult with a lawyer to see if this is even legal what they're doing with Battlefield 2042. A lot of people within the community feel like they was robbed, they felt like EA was essentially false advertising, they felt like they had justified a refund. So what I wanted to do is consult with a lawyer to see what exactly all of this means from a legal point of view, and I consulted with a lawyer by the name of Richard Hogg. Now, he owns the law firm Hogg Law, and he does a brilliant YouTube series called Virtual Legality, in which in the past he's covered the likes of Anthem, Cyberpunk 2077, and he's just recently covered all of the Xbox and Call of Duty Activision stuff as well, which I would definitely recommend you checking out. So I consulted with him in regards to what all of this means for us, the community, and of course us as consumers when it comes to Battlefield 2042, and unfortunately I have nothing but bad news. For us as a consumer from a legal point of view, there is essentially nothing we can do. We have bought a product that we didn't need to buy from when we did purchase it. We had the opportunity to buy it at a later date, and also because they've not specifically said what is promised with this game. You know, they've been using terminology like the game is in progress, stuff may change and stuff like that. From a legal point of view, EA and DICE have done nothing wrong, and as such we're not entitled to a refund. And I did ask those two analysts that I was talking about earlier if they think that EA would even consider from a moral point of view refunding all of the purchases of this game, and essentially they said no, never going to happen. They will not refund us when it comes to Battlefield 2042. So from both a legal point of view and a moral point of view, it seems like all of the experts looking from the outside in states that it's just not going to happen. We're not going to be able to get our refunds, and basically we need to sit tight and just see where EA and DICE take Battlefield 2042. Of course, the rumour on the street, so to speak, everything that I've heard is that they are looking at Battlefield Portal going to free to play, and from a speculation point of view, I do think that they are looking at a potential goldmine with Portal, and I'm really surprised that they have not looked into this just yet. And it's the fact that with Portal, what they could potentially do is they could do a special season every year or two in which contains, let's just say, 3 to 4 maps of a particular Battlefield game. So for example, let's take Battlefield 3. A special season would come with 3 to 4 maps from Battlefield 3, and then to incentivize people to purchase another game, what they could do is fully remaster Battlefield 3. So essentially you're getting the teaser with Portal, and then you could have the opportunity to buy a remastered version of Battlefield 3, and that is just speculation on my part. I think it would be pretty cool to see. I think that DICE have proved that DICE is no longer DICE when it comes to Battlefield, and I think that tapping into that extensive library of Battlefield games and maps and mods and stuff like that that Battlefield now has is a pretty good compromise. I understand that the likes of Vince Impella has now joined the team, and he's notorious for making incredible games. But where does that leave us with the next Battlefield title? I honestly feel like my overall feelings towards the Battlefield franchise has been tainted, and I think I've learned my lesson when it comes to Battlefield and EA games in general, and that is, well, I'm not going to pre-order a future game, and I'm going to wait to see it until it's released to make my decision on purchasing the game. So anyway, I'm going to leave the video as that. So that was just a little bit of speculation towards the end of the video. Of course, if I hear anything new on Battlefield 2042 and of course the future of the Battlefield franchise, I will be sure to report on it. But anyway guys, I've been Tom, thank you very much for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.